Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
All right, first up, we have a new rumor out there that Mandalorian Season 4 is going to be reworked to be a movie now instead of a series season. Yeah.
That seems like a lot of reworking. If you have a whole season, how do you condense that down into a movie? Unless
Isn't it
you're
worrying that you have a whole season of scripts written and you're like, yeah, we can just cut all this out? Does that mean there was a lot of filler or stuff in there? I don't like that.
Is this like a reaction to Season 3 where they're like, oh, we tried to put a lot of stuff in there and there wasn't a lot of positive response?
They're trying to actually race to the theater.
You think so? Or you think they're just trying to get a movie into the theater in general?
Exactly. The rumor says that this is supposed to possibly be coming out before the Daisy Ridley Star Wars film, not replacing its time slot or anything.
Okay, and this isn't obviously the Filoni Mando movie, whatever we want to call that.
I don't think so. I mean, this is coming from Jeff Snyder on the Hot Mic. He claims that the odds are in its favor that a movie of The Mandalorian is on its way in place of Season 4. That this development is influenced by the disruption caused by the writers and actors strikes. In addition to the fact it's supposed to come out ahead of Daisy Ridley's Star Wars movie.
I'm confused, though. I thought, Season 4 had already kind of been written even before the strikes.
Well, yeah, Jon Favreau said earlier this year that the scripts were done.
So...
Yeah,
So you wrote a whole season and now you're going to condense it. Did you just not have confidence in this fourth season, again, after the third season? Or do you want to get something in the theater because you feel like you're kind of missing a window here with movies or something?
Well, and it's weird because even Brendan Wayne, remember that he posted that Season 4 of Mando was getting ramped up. Why would you call it Season 4 if it's going to be a movie?
Well, he couldn't say that it's a movie now, right?
He could have just said, hey, Mandalorian's getting ramped up.
No, that would also...
That totally, separates
He would just say Season 4. I mean, I'm not going to read too much into that because if he spoiled it, obviously, he's probably going to lose his
Well, he said Season 4 of Mando, which I think means that you're talking about the actual season. Think of how lost you're going to be if you're like, okay, so parts 1 and 2, seasons 1, 2, and 3 are all on Disney+. Season 4 is a movie? Do you really think that helps the franchise at all?
No. I honestly, I worry about even the Filoni movie. Mm-hmm. Just the idea of it. Because we have seen, and look, we can discuss why Marvel has gone astray. There's probably a lot of reasons, but one of the believed reasons is too much emphasis on Disney+. Where people are like, I don't know these characters, I don't care about the things that go on there, I just want to watch movies. So now Star Wars is going to put out a movie that's predicated on you having watched 3 seasons of a show. If not more, if you count Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and so on, that may factor into this movie.
I think that's a lot of the problem. You can't say that this is going to help Disney Plus because people are just going to be confused. I mean, if you heard that you missed seeing the first, second, and third of a series and the fourth one was coming out and you're like, well, that looks really good. Is that going to get you to go back and watch all that before the movie or just not see the movie?
I don't think so. I think the average person, if you're talking the casual fan or the normie, whatever you want to call them, they're not going to be like, well, that trailer looked good. I'm going to go watch 3 seasons of this show.
That's asking a lot of a person.
It is. I mean, some might watch the movie and then go back. But if you're saying that this is the 4th season of something and it's in a movie form, there's going to be a lot of people well, I haven't seen those other 3, so I'm not going to go watch this.
That's one problem with the streaming war. There's just too much. You could never watch everything.
Yeah, like I said, I think Marvel found out the hard way that a film franchise maybe needs to stay a film franchise, and I think Star Wars is having some issues with that as well. Though Star Wars so far hasn't been connecting movies to the shows really. So far, it's okay, you can watch the stuff on Disney Plus. It's kind of its own thing. The sequels were their own thing, So there's no overlap.
It's a hard thing because when you watch Marvel, you watch the movies and they're the cinematic experiences. When you watch the shows, it's do you keep them entirely separate? Because then there's no, bonus, I guess you could say, for watching them. But if you connect them, are you now possibly deteriorating the experience of somebody watching? It's
It's a double-edged sword, right? Mm-hmm. Because part of the reason people like watching the shows is because they are connected to the movies. You have those, certainly me, and you, we watch the shows partly because we're going to watch them anyway, because we watch Marvel things. But partly because it's we've been invested in the MCU for all these years, a decade plus. I want to see it continue. I'll watch these shows. Mm-hmm. So for someone like us, it's a kind of a cool thing because we're going to watch everything anyway.
If they continue on in the Marvel franchise with these big movies and they never address kind of the fate of what happened to Loki at the end of season 2, I'll be disappointed. I'm not going to spoil that for anybody, but
in Secret War. But I see what you're saying.
Right, I'll be disappointed that they never talk about it again. That it happened and that's the end. Especially if the universe goes entirely astray and he would be involved somehow in that.
I think
Just going to leave it at that without spoiling anything.
We're getting way into a spoiler potential territory, but
right. So is this a bad thing? It's hard to say that it's not. I don't like the idea of Season 4, like, hey, we'll just throw it in there. If anything, Season 1 should have been a movie, and you could have just had a Mandalorian franchise of movies.
See, I think that works better. I think it's one thing if you make a movie of something and then you spring into television. I think it's much harder to go the other way. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that's... I mean, for the High Republic, for example, like the books, a lot of people are saying, like, I just never... I'm not a reader. I'm not just going to sit down and start reading, but... Perhaps had there been a movie or even a show that got people interested in the High Republic, you may have attracted more people to the books.
Comic books had a resurgence after the Avengers movies were coming out.
Somewhat. Not as much as you'd
think, no, but
you would have think
it did draw some people in to go, I really liked this character. Maybe I'll dabble in comic books and see what the comic world does with them.
Yeah, nowhere near as much as you might have anticipated or people might have thought or still think. It's not like comic books, in the early 2010s, they're like had this huge resurgence because of the MCU. I mean, in all reality, most of them aren't doing so well today, so it's kind of funny how that works.
But Disney obviously wants to push Star Wars into the theaters as soon as they can, and they might be trying to use The Mandalorian to do that. I just think it's a bad idea.
I don't think it's a good idea either. I mean, who knows how much truth there is? I'm not trying to call into question the leaker here, but I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's kind of messy. So I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. I don't particularly like it.
You also bring about another problem, as in the next thing after these next 3 shows that we know about is going to be Mandalorian Season 4 on Disney+. Like, what else do you have on Disney+?
Because right now we're anticipating that 2024 is going to be Bad Batch, possibly, though we've heard nothing about it, possibly Tales of the Jedi,
yeah, but those are smaller
Crew, and Acolyte.
Yeah, I'm mainly talking the live action
2025, we're anticipating Andor is getting pushed there, and we are also expecting Mando Season 4.
But if you don't have that, what do you got?
Nothing.
Yeah.
You can't slow down Disney Plus just because you're trying to get people into the theater.
That's the problem. You can't just put nothing out on Disney Plus for Star Wars for a year. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, or there's not something planned that we don't know about, but certainly that's not a healthy slate.
No. Well, do you want to move on?
Sure.
First, I have a fun little blurb here. Star Wars Visions Season 2, the short Screecher's Reach by Cartoon Saloon, that one that seemed to be an underdog, it won an Emmy for Outstanding Individual Achievement in Animation.
Nice. That was a good one. That was one of my favorites of the... Because
it was so unexpected. There was the twist in there, and you thought it was going one way. It totally flipped everything on its head. It was emotional. It was surprisingly fantastic.
It subverted our expectations.
In the right way. All right. But let's talk about the next big story here-ish. Star Wars, The Glass Abyss, has been revealed. It is a new novel coming. Because... next year, The Phantom Menace will be celebrating its 25th anniversary.
That's impossible.
So, of course, Lucasfilm is planning on taking advantage of it, and they're going to make at least a couple new books set in that time period.
All right, 25 years. Wow.
Yeah, so StarWars.com announced Mace Windu is going to be the main character of Star Wars The Glass Abyss, which sounds much too much like The Glass Onion for my liking.
Written by Rian Johnson?
No, it's coming in August on the 6th. It's going to be written by Stephen Barnes. He's returning to Star Wars. He hasn't written for Star Wars since 2004's Cetus Deception. It's a Legends book. I've not read it.
Do we have a...
Oh, of course I've got information.
Okay.
It's going to take place immediately following The Phantom Menace.
Okay.
Sending Mace Windu on a mission to fulfill Qui-Gon Jinn's final request. The twist is the quest is specifically for Mace, only to be received after his death. Because I know how you love when they mess with Qui-Gon in canon.
This has got disaster written all over it.
You think so?
I do. I don't know. Sometimes maybe I'm in the wrong, which is certainly possible, but sometimes I think Star Wars just does not understand the purpose and point of Qui-Gon Jinn.
Well, first let's hear what the author had to say about this book.
Yep.
I was thrilled to be asked to write The Glass Abyss with an opportunity to explore Mace Windu. I was busy with television work, but how could I pass this up? A chance to wield the purple lightsaber? Ha! So, with the support of a great team, I crafted a story of mystery, adventure, betrayal, and romance on a new planet, Metagas, a seething criminal cesspool that was once a thriving and beautiful world. A place where a single supreme warrior willing to risk it all can make the ultimate difference. At all times, I remembered there is only one goal in writing such a book, to be true to the mythos and thrill the fans, to give them the fun suspense and heart-stopping action they've come to expect from one of our greatest mythologies, and create more of an inner world for one of the most powerful Jedi in the galaxy. I can't wait to share the Glass Abyss with fans. Heck, I can't wait to read it myself. My first question is, why does he say romance?
Mace is gonna...
Mace. Those aren't the Jedi ways, Mace.
He's alone on a harsh planet. He needs the company of a...
So that was what the author said. Do you want the official synopsis as well?
Oh, yes.
Because I have that.
All right.
It's long. I don't know why. Jedi Master Mace Windu travels to a dangerous remote planet on a mission that challenges even his deadly prowess, all to fulfill Qui-Gon's last request. The Jedi are reeling from Qui-Gon Jinn's sudden death at the hands of a Sith. Jedi Master Mace Windu's feelings about Qui-Gon have always been complicated, and have not been made any simpler in death. While they often disagreed, Mace valued Qui-Gon's unique perspective, and their shared dedication to the Force made them allies. Without Qui-Gon and his unorthodox views, Mace feels out of balance.
Yep.
While considering his fallen friend's legacy, Mace is surprised to receive a final message from Qui-Gon, marked to be delivered to Mace on the event of Qui-Gon's death. The message contains a last request, a plea to help the Outer Rim planet of Metagos. Many years ago, a violent solar flare transformed the surface of the desert planet into a landscape of irradiated glass, as beautiful as it is dangerous. Now most of the surviving inhabitants live underground, where rival clans fight to control the planet's limited resources. As a young Jedi, Qui-Gon protected the Sa'ad farming clan from the planet's less scrupulous factions. The Sa'ad practiced the art of dream weaving, retaining their waking minds upon sleep in order to communicate and coexist with the wild creatures around them. Qui-Gon vowed to return if they ever required his aid, but now it falls to Mace to fulfill that promise. The Sa'ad leader, Kin-Shan Nightbird, has begged for the Jedi's help in freeing Metagos from the crime lords who threaten to eradicate her people's way of life. Intent on fulfilling Qui-Gon's final wishes, Mace travels to Metagos and infiltrates the enemies of the Sa'ad, but as the Jedi Master investigates the intricate web of adversaries and allies, Mace finds himself pushed to the boundaries of the Jedi Code, challenging his beliefs and his relationship to the Force itself.
It was a lot, yeah.
They pretty much told you the first, third of the book?
Yeah. I wish I could say I was super excited.
The dream-weaving part sounds interesting. Retaining your waking mind upon sleep. Is that how Qui-Gon started learning how to retain his mind within the Force? How to retain his consciousness?
No.
It's just a question. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that.
Maybe that's how I got interested in the Journal of the Wills. And...
I mean, the dream weaving, retaining your mind
while
coexisting with the world around.
I hope that's what they explain it as. That'll be great.
Jedi could,
yeah, why not?
You sound so thrilled.
I'm not. I'm sick and tired of taking pre-established characters and here's the story you never knew.
Well, it's supposed to be mostly about Mace, so.
Well, yeah, but he's a pre-established character. I don't know that. I love unorthodox Jedi Qui-Gon. You mean the true Jedi, the one who actually followed the rules and did what he was supposed to?
That's unorthodox.
Yeah. I mean, if it's from Mace's perspective, sure, he was unorthodox, but Qui-Gon was the guy who was getting it right.
Qui-Gon thinks he's very orthodox.
Yes. He is too orthodox, maybe, because he is following the will of the Force and only that. But anyway.
Don't forget, Mace won't... that's not the only book he'll be in. Coming in April, we have the Living Force book, which also takes place 1 year before The Phantom Menace, with its 25th anniversary, and it's the road trip of the 12 Jedi Council members.
Yeah. You know why a game like Fallen Order and Survivor was good? Because it's new characters. You know why The Mandalorian is good? It's new characters. I'm sick and tired of hey, like I was saying before, let's take this character and tell you a secret story. Ooh,
what's exciting?
It's not exciting.
Secret stories.
Nothing in this book can happen that's going to change anything or be all that interesting.
That's what I said about Kenobi. That changed a lot of things. A lot of things that shouldn't have.
That did not prove your point.
All they had to do was have a piece of debris hit Leia in the head while they were being pursued, so that she would lose memory.
Been hit by debris while watching.
All she had to do was lose memory of knowing who he was.
Yes.
They could have at least, at the very least, tried to do that.
And everybody in the Empire needed to be hit in the head by debris too, because they didn't realize there was
at least
connection
Vader
between...
needed to be.
Maybe he was. I mean, Obi-Wan was flinging rocks around like nothing, so maybe he got hit in the head and forgot everything. Or Palpatine told him to forget. That works, right?
Yeah, it's so easy.
No, I wish I was excited for these books, but like I said, it's just like, it's coloring within the lines. It's like taking these characters where we know like nothing really profound is going to happen. We know the beginning and the end of Mace Windu's story. He doesn't, ever like refer to...
Do we know the end? Did we see a body?
Let's not get into that.
Sorry.
But you know what I'm saying
I
here.
do.
It's like, okay, a character that we get to explore him a little more. It sounds interesting potentially, but at the end of the day, it's still a story about a character we know pretty much his whole, beginning to end journey, sort of. Anyway, I think that's going to be all we got for you this time. Now it is your turn to take to the comments below. Tell us what you think about this upcoming book. Maybe you're excited for it. Maybe you want a little more Mace Windu in your life. And maybe we'll see a little more romance in his. Whatever the case may be, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.